Coming up on today's episode of Club 904, at long last, we are here. We are in Action Sports Jax studios, our typical home during the 2025 NFL calendar year, and most likely, for the most part, the 2026 calendar year as well. And so, what better time? 2 weeks into OTAs in Duval County. Let's run through the notebook. Let's open the notebook. Things I've seen, players who are trending in the right direction, maybe a scoop or two as well. Plus, we'll let you listen to the best interviews throughout the first 2 weeks of this OTA portion of the offseason program from our friends at Action Sports Jax. It's going to be a goodie. Get on in here. It's Club 904. What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome into Club 904. I am your host, Mia O'Brien. Thanks so much for hanging out with us wherever you are listening on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. It's been a minute since not only we've been here at HQ, but also that we've just done a solo show where we run through what I am actually seeing during those closed to the media practices for your Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as just looking ahead, what's to come once training camp does open in July, and also letting you listen to some of the best, because in case you've missed it, let's give a round of applause for everybody who's hanging out. A bunch of you guys are already here in Club 904. To our friend Noah Schlicksup, Chandler Dantzler, the brain trust behind the Action Sports Jax social media and YouTube channels, because the two of them have been grinding behind the scenes, ensuring that every interview that you see on CBS 47 and Fox 30 also makes its way to YouTube. We're going to let you guys hear from some of those interviews that, of course, Stuart Weber, Olivia Tasley, Brett Martineau, Jason Hamby have been able to put together. You'll hear from some interviews that I've done as well. And I think you'll enjoy today's kind of compilation in case you haven't been tuned into the 2026 Jacksonville Jaguars offseason. Here is your primer episode of Club 904. Before we get started, we're going to begin on the offensive side of the ball. So that's a good tease, because I know you all have thoughts about Brian Thomas Jr., about Trevor Lawrence even, about where the heck Chris Rodriguez, the Jaguars' lone external free agent signing, has been. We're going to run through all of it. First things first, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you are listening to the Action Sports Jax channel of your choosing, whether you are watching live on YouTube, X, Twitch. If you're listening this on demand on the podcast network, give them a like, give them a subscription. We appreciate you guys supporting our friends at Action Sports Jax. A couple more housekeeping items, as you guys have probably noticed, especially those of you who are subscribers to the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook. Not just helping out with the Jaguars coverage here at Action Sports Jax, I am also helping host the Coaches Show for our friends at the Upshot League. Some of you may be wondering, well, I still don't know what it is. Like basketball, women's sports, what is it? The Upshot League. I can now say this because a lot of other people who have much higher ranking positions than I do have said it. It is essentially an independently operated G League for the WNBA. It's the best way I can describe it. And the players who are on the four rosters, the Jacksonville Waves, the Savannah Steel, the Charlotte Crown, the Greensboro Groove, those players, many of them were the final cuts on the 15 WNBA rosters this past April. And so this is high-level basketball, folks. All four teams are averaging more than 81 points per game through their first 3 weeks of the season. It's only going to get going even further from here. The future truly is up, as Commissioner Don Orender likes to say. And so that's Mondays at 2 p.m. here on Action Sports Jax. You get us, Club 904, live 2 p.m. on Tuesdays, Fleet and Footy live Thursdays at 2 p.m. I hope I'm not missing any shows, Brent. Of course, the Brent and Austin show, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 10 a.m. to noon during the summer. See, I caught myself right here on Action Sports Jax. And since I mentioned it, the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook, yes, subscriptions are ongoing. $5 per month is where we get started. And of course, the free 7-day trial is also ongoing. This program, Club 904, is an interactive, engaging program. So leave a comment, leave a question. We'll be sure to get to it, especially in our final segment, which I always try to reserve for live Q&A. Without further ado, though, it's time to open the notebook. I don't actually have my little open, like, what do you call it? Like the binder notebook that I do during training camp. To be frank, during the off-season program, I get some flack from the home team because I'm out here writing. Not the home team isn't the Jaguars, but my home team at my house, because I'm writing my notes shorthand on the back of rosters on my phone. Come training camp, that's where I actually start a notebook. But the offseason program, I try to consolidate it, put it onto this nice legal pad for you guys. And that's what we're going to do here today. So let's start right off the top. I've seen your tweets. I've seen your Discord chat questions regarding Chris Rodriguez, the Jaguars' lone non-in-house free agent signing who has not, with one exception, been made available or been on the practice field through the 2 OTA open practices that the Jaguars have hosted so far. There is a super sleuth out there, and some of my friends in the fantasy football national media community have reached out to me. So if anyone has the tweet that someone found the Zapruder film, if you may, of Chris Rodriguez is on the stationary bike next to us reporters in the indoor facility at last Tuesday's practice. So he was there. We just didn't realize that it was him on the bike next to us. So that's good to know. If anyone has that tweet, if you want to send that, drop it in the comments because I need to send that to some of my friends because they've been asking about it with regards to Chris Rodriguez's status. You heard Liam Cohen at the podium last week. He said the injury report will come out at some point in time. From what I have been told, all expectations are that Chris Rodriguez will be ready to go opening week of training camp. Let's hope it continues to trend in that direction. The thing that I just keep coming back to is that every person I have spoken to in the Miller Electric Center, when you ask about Liam Cohen referring to the run game as the underlying stink, despite 13 wins in his first season as head coach, whenever you bring up the run game, Chris Rodriguez is central to those conversations. And so this notion of, oh, he's damaged goods, he's never going to play it down for the Jaguars. No. As of June 2nd, he is going to be a featured member of the Jaguars running back by committee. I need to stress that, running back by committee, which was always the intent when the Jaguars began 2026. Last year, Travis Etienne obviously had more of an elevated role as the senior elder statesman in that room, the most proven commodity. 2 rookies, especially once Tank Bigsby was shipped out of town, comprising the rest of that room. You don't have 2 rookies right now. You have an undrafted free agent in Jamari Taylor who saw more reps yesterday because Chris Rodriguez is currently sidelined, because Amir Abdullah was excused absent on Monday. And so Jamari Taylor is getting some run. He has an opportunity to showcase that he could do what James Robinson did once upon a time and go from undrafted free agent with great vision, great wiggle, the ability to break tackles and sneak onto the 53-man roster. I don't think he's going to have 1,000 yards quite like J-Rob, but hey, listen, it's a different time here in Duval. But those 2 once-upon-a-time rookies in the backfield in Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen are now sophomores. They are second-year players. And again, this is a system that was never going to feature just one running back. Chris Rodriguez, yes, was given a nice little payday as a restricted free agent out of Washington, but the intent was never, he is our featured running back. He is going to be the go-to guy. Bashal Tutin was drafted in the 4th round last year. You know, I don't know who else was drafted in the 4th round by a Liam Cohen team. Oh, that's right, Bucky Irving. And last I checked, he was at his best, yes, when Cohen was in Tampa, but also when he was the hot hand, to be fair, but a member of a running back by committee approach by the Buccaneers with Rachaad White. And so a long way of saying to the fantasy football fans and aficionados out there, I wouldn't be stressing, at least from what I have been told. He is still a part of the plans, even if he is not on the field during the offseason program. And by the way, Bashal Tutin is going to equally have an opportunity to be the hot hand. And I believe the Jaguars, depending on what the situation is and who the opponent is, that's who they're going to hand the ball off to. This is not a 1, 2, 3 situation in the running back room for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nate Borkercher, the Jaguars' 2nd-round pick, their highest drafted player in the 2026 NFL draft, was practicing off to the side yesterday. I am told that is precautionary. While I do not know what the injury is, whatever the reason was, it is precautionary. When he was on the practice field last week, you saw him a lot. You saw him in team periods a lot. Operating within the NFL's reporting guidelines, I will let you interpret that as much as you want. I will also tell you that there was more run for Hunter Long yesterday at practice comparatively to last week when Nate Borkercher was a full participant. And there also was more opportunities for Tanner Koziel, his fellow draftee. And while I think Koziel and Borkercher are going to fit 2 very different roles in this offense, I was excited to see Koziel go from last week, where we maybe saw him a little bit here, a little bit there, not too much. Caught a great ball right up the seam from Trevor Lawrence during a team period on Monday morning, and it showcased this is the vision. And I want to circle back to something I said before the offseason program, the on-field portion got going a few weeks ago here on Club 904. There are two things that I definitively look for during rookie minicamp, during OTAs, during the offseason program. Number one, do they look the part? And number two, one-on-one, off the line of scrimmage, who's winning, who is fluid in motion, moving around the field. And I think you are seeing that, and you are seeing, at least in a small sample size, stacking days for Tanner Koziel, because last week I didn't really pop off the page. And then you see a nice little pop at practice on Monday morning. And that's what you want to see from these young rookies. And again, I think he and Borkercher, two different situations, two different roles, but was good to see him pop, especially with Borkercher sidelined. Although Borkercher in the second half of Monday's practice was on the sideline with his teammates with a helmet. You can interpret that however you want. I don't really know how to interpret it. So throw that out there. The wide receiver room situation. You're going to hear from Parker Washington before we take our first break in just a little bit. But I understand that when I say Jaguars wide receiver room, you all want to panic about Brian Thomas Jr. What is his role? A.J. Brown is now a member of the New England Patriots, so they're not trading him to Philadelphia. Go on the Action Sports Jax YouTube page. Brent Martineau caught up with Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to let Brian Thomas Jr. speak for himself. I'm also going to tell you to go to the Jaguars page and listen to Liam Cohen and the comments he had to make about number 7. The reality is, and I wrote this in the Mo Bryan NFL notebook yesterday, and so I want to read it verbatim because I think it's the best way to describe this. And I also want to put a little caveat asterisk on this and let you all know. I'm so excited. I see your comments. I see your questions. I don't know why. Okay, I thought there was a bad word in the comments. It's not. It's plucking, not the other word. So thank you, Duval TV, for that. Very excited to talk ball with you guys because, as you also know, I cover women's basketball in the WNBA. And yeah, if you're a Caitlin Clark defender right now, you don't really want to be on those streets because it's kind of gnarly right now. And the same can be said for Brian Thomas Jr. defenders. Just like, as you will hear on the women's basketball podcast tomorrow when it drops on Wednesday, June 3rd, I have no issue saying Caitlin Clark defense needs to be improved. I have no issue saying Brian Thomas Jr. needs to improve in terms of contested catch situations over the middle of the field. Does that make either of those two players unusable in their current system? Heck no. She's going to be on all WNBA performer, God willing, stays healthy this year. And Brian Thomas Jr., I know. There's some of you out there who say he's just going to be the SEC version of Marquez Valdez-Scantling. What's so bad about that? Who else is stretching the field right now on this Jaguars roster? Don't answer that. We're going to answer that here in just a second. Point being, Brian Thomas Jr. may not fill the role that once upon a time we thought he would. I sat here week after week last summer, and I said, Brian Thomas Jr. has the capability to be in that Justin Jefferson upper echelon receiver department in the league. And that's not going to happen, at least not right now. Because yesterday I saw him bobble a couple of passes, one-on-one, on air, the middle of the field, a bugaboo until proven otherwise. And that's okay because there is so much else out there for him. He may not be the wide receiver who your offense plays through. And that is what I want to hit on real quick. Liam Cohen said yesterday at the podium when asked by reporters, quote, the ball gets spread out in this offense to multiple different players. It doesn't really just feed through one person. So I think that that's something that he had to work through. We all had to work through. I want to put out there on the record at Liam Cohen's introductory presser, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. He said that this offense would run through Brian Thomas Jr. It would run through Trevor Lawrence, but it would also flow through Brian Thomas Jr. I believe, in my opinion, Liam Cohen's assessment was much like ours last offseason. This could be another Jay Jettis. And if he is, he can play all three wide receiver positions, and that is who this offense needs to flow through. And I think that this coaching staff figured out maybe he's not there yet, and that's okay. And because, much like in your running back room, you approach this as a by committee, we spread the ball out, we have multiple players who can play multiple positions, it's not the end of the world. But the point is, the best coaches, and James Gladstone said this at some point last year, the best teams, the best coaches evolve throughout the course of the season. Brian Thomas Jr.'s role evolved over the course of the season. Yes, because he was injured. He does talk about that with Brent. So again, go check that out on the YouTube page at Action Sports Jax. But it evolved because this staff recognized, okay, maybe he's not ready for that role, and that's okay because what he is good at is playing the X, stretching the field, and because after acquiring Jacoby Myers, we have two possession receivers in Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers, they, coupled with these tight ends, are going to be able to take that middle of the field off of Brian Thomas Jr.'s plate, and he can do what he does best, his quote-unquote superpower. And I think that's all fine and good. He's not getting traded. Relax. Now, and we talked about this on the Locked On Jaguar squad show yesterday. There was some talk in the media room about who besides Brian Thomas Jr. is stretching the field. Number one, I will tell you, and Parker Washington and I talked about this a lot throughout the course of last offseason. He begged Chad Hall down the home stretch of the 2024 season to let him practice at the X position. He wanted to stretch the field. I understand with his body type and with his makeup and where his superpowers lie, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but he could if you needed him to. Anyone want to debate me that Jakobi Meyers runs a better deep curl than anyone else in the NFL right now? Go ahead. I'd love to see your comments in the chat. And I understand that that is not the go ball that Brian Thomas Jr. is going to major in, if you may. And I'm not saying that he's a one-trick pony like he was at LSU, but point being, maybe Jacoby's not the field stretcher that Brian Thomas Jr. can be streaking down the sideline. But already by adding the deep curl into your playbook, you're expanding the depth of the field comparatively to last September, right? I mean, it's not bubble screen, press Taylor offense anymore. So this notion of, well, there's no one else who can stretch the field, I think is a fallacy. And you have Brian Thomas Jr., and I don't think that's his only superpower for what it's worth. I just think that that is his superpower. So you lean into it because you have other guys who major in other areas of the football field. This brings me to, again, I don't think he's going to all of a sudden be an all-rookie team player, although that would certainly be nice. I see the vision with CJ Williams. I've said this in the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook. I've said this on Brett and Austin, and I've said it on Locked On too. I've been really impressed with CJ Williams. And from what I've heard from some of the players in that locker room, they've been impressed too. He's sharp on and off the field, but more than that, again, what are those things that we're looking for at the offseason program? Because there are no pads, because everyone is in t-shirts and shorts. Number one, do you look the part? He looks the part. Number two, one-on-one off the line of scrimmage. This kid is the smoothest route runner out there, not named Jakobi Meyers or Parker Washington. And we could throw Brian Thomas Jr. in there too. Like, this kid just looks different. And I'm telling you, last Tuesday, the OTA practice, when he turns up field, he hits a different gear. There's a different level of speed there. This is someone who was a top 50 recruit coming out of high school. And I know it didn't work out at USC. It didn't work out at Wisconsin. And then he had no quarterback at Stanford. I see the vision. This is and could be more than just a speedier, more agile version of Tim Patrick. I see it. I want to put that out there. And it sounds like in the classroom, it's been equally a success with the 6th-round pick out of Stanford. Josh Cameron, his fellow 6th-round pick, good to see him on the field yesterday. We saw him stretching at rookie minicamp, had the helmet on, but then did not participate in individual team drills, much of the same yesterday. But again, just good to see him as he continues to work his way back from the ankle injury back out there on the field. I know there's some of you who are going to want offensive line takes, much like the run game, like Liam Cohen told us last week. There's not a whole heck of a lot I can really glean right now. What I will tell you is from conversations in the building, they are impressed with the young guys who are pushing a veteran line and veteran starters that, quote, it's hard to compare and it's hard to usurp those starting spots because of the experience the Jaguars have along their offensive line. And that's before Cole Van Lannon ever takes a practice rep in 2026. And so do I think Emmanuel Pregnon's starting day one? No. Do I think Wyatt Milam is starting day one? I don't know. Patrick McCarry had to sit out part of yesterday's practice with an undisclosed injury. And so Wyatt Milam did get an extended audition. Maybe that opens up the door. I have not seen in Jacksonville in my 8 years covering this team an offensive line that made it through an entire season unscathed and started the same 5 players each and every game. So one way or another, there is going to be a time and place for some of these young players to play, but positive vibes from conversations around the offensive line. Quarterback situation before we take our first break. Well, actually, you'll hear from Parker Washington. Then we'll take our first break. Trevor had an up and down day on Monday. A little bit more consistent last week. That's okay, because like Caitlin Clark, not every day is going to be perfect. Relax. Also, there are tons of other teams in the league who would be dying on the vine to have what you have under center. So always remember that perspective. It's important. I have been really impressed with Carter Bradley, the number 3 quarterback last year on the practice squad for the Jaguars. Yes, Gus Bradley's son. He is someone, and if you haven't studied his journey, looked into his journey, I encourage you to do so. Obviously played high school ball here in Jacksonville, Providence. He did not play his senior season, tore his ACL. And then in 6 seasons of college, he only started for 1 year. So this is someone who hasn't played a ton of games, but he has not only the size and the measurables, the ball just flies out of his hands. Like there is a different level of velocity when Carter Bradley throws the football than when Nick Mullins, the Jaguars' backup quarterback, throws the football. And that's not to knock the gunslinger, Nick Mullins. Listen, pull up his history, see what he did in San Francisco, see what he did in Minnesota, coming in, saving the day, if only for a game or two, which is what you want in your backup quarterback, in addition to being the ultimate cheerleader for your starter and the rest of your locker room, and someone who is a vital springboard for your starting QB. So do I think that Carter Bradley's going to usurp Nick Mullins' spot this year? I don't. Nick Mullins, though, is in the final year of his contract. And so that is where I think Carter Bradley is trending in the right direction, to where not only will he have an extended opportunity during the preseason to put some great games on tape, but also I think he's trending towards, hey, if the Jaguars opt to say goodbye to Nick Mullins this offseason, Carter Bradley's waiting for that opportunity. And it's just been really impressive to see the ball just pop out of his hands. Been really great to see. Joey Aguilar out of Tennessee, it's been a little bit rough. The first few practices, I'm sure you guys have read our friend John Shipley and Gus Logue and many of the other reports about the hospital balls. We may or may not have had another tightly contested throw on Monday. Carter Bradley, absolutely in the driver's seat for the number 3 quarterback spot ahead of Joey Aguilar, despite, yes, I know they gave Joey Aguilar good money. I get it. But that's the name of the game in undrafted free agency. It is what it is. But I think he is also trending towards pushing Nick Mullins, which is obviously not only great for a hometown product, that's what he is at the end of the day, even if a certain GM wouldn't let him have a local pro day, but I digress. Not the current GM. You all know what I mean. But then additionally, I think he's pushing Nick Mullins more so than being pushed by Joey Aguilar, which is great to see. Let's hear from Parker Washington. Again, part of why I'm going to play these interviews is because I want you guys to know that the Action Sports Jax YouTube does exist. You can go listen to all of these interviews. There's a bunch of great ones we're not even going to get to today. Emmanuel Pregnon, Bashal Tootin. You have, who else did they get last? Ruke Arroyo with Austin Lane. Make sure you go check out these interviews. But I wanted you guys to hear from my friend, the one, the only, chop wood, carry water, Parker Washington.
What's your mindset heading? It's not training camp yet, but I know you guys want to get some work in before you have that break.
Just fine tuning and get on as a receiver and with Trevor, just get on the same page. This is my first opportunity to do that, so I'm just gonna take advantage and make the most of each day, have some fun, and just keep going.
Especially at the end of the season, I mean, you were the star with the Jaguars. Are you more excited, amped up, just to continue that success this year?
Most definitely, but I feel like what started to have more fun with it, just the process in itself, just working, and it's another opportunity to play the game I love, so take advantage of that and just make the most of it. This is the tail end of my football career. You can't go past the NFL, so I just want to take it one day at a time and be the best Parker I can be.
Do you feel old?
Do I feel old?
Yeah. You've been here for a couple years now.
Not yet. Mentally, I could probably say I'm a vet, but physically I feel as young as ever. I feel like it was just day one as a rookie, just with more knowledge. So I feel great, excited to keep going, excited to keep working and keep getting better and just see where I can go and see how good I can become.
Obviously, huge contract year coming up. How do you carry the momentum from that big breakout season you had last year into this coming season?
Just staying detailed, staying intentional with how I attack each day. I mean, that's the mindset, I mean, it didn't start off with me having all these opportunities, so I had to find a way to continue to get better, knowing that I probably wasn't going to get the opportunity. So just with that, I mean, I just feel like it's just a cherry on top now. I just feel like I just get more opportunities to go out there and be who I want to be who I know I can be, and just have fun with it.
Does it feel like streamlines you a little bit? Obviously last year, new coaches, new staff, new program, but do you feel like you kind of understand the offense now and it feels a little more organized?
I love it. I love this offense, and I love how Lim and Grant just tell us to go out there and just go be us and just have fun, play fast, attack each play with speed off the ball is what they would say. And I feel like it just lets us go out there and be free. And I feel like Trevor feels the same way. The rest of the receivers feel the same way. And we're excited for this year.
I know Liam's talked about being excited with the new tight ends to have some more creativity on the offensive side of the football. Are you excited to be a part of that?
Always. I feel like this offense is so dynamic and we still have so much growth to take place. And I feel like this is perfect for us right now. You take advantage of this second year with the staff, with the guys, and Trevor feels good, so we feel good.
Still a huge Olivia Dean fan?
Always. I'm trying to get to a concert one of these days for sure.
You went through a big off-season change yourself. I mean, the tats. You thought Cam Little went through a change. You went quite through the change. Talk to me about that process. Why did you do it this season? What was going through your mind? And of course, I got to talk about the job's not finished, right?
I'm gonna show you. I feel like most important. I'm glad that you brought that up. I feel like for me, what I did is just no matter what, no matter how hard I go, no matter how I attack each day, no matter how good I get, I ultimately feel like we'll never be perfect. And that's why I tatted it that way, because we'll never be perfect. I feel like no matter what I accomplish, I'll never be satisfied. So I feel like I did it that way just to show that I'll never be perfect no matter how good I am, no matter what I achieve. So that was the most important part for me. And then around that, it's just putting my why on me, and just giving me another opportunity to look in the mirror and understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I didn't get here just off the sole fact of just me. A lot of prayers, a lot of support, and I just keep going for them and my family. And I'm excited for this opportunity, and we're gonna keep going. Chop wood, carry water.
How's this wide receiver room feel to you? I mean, it felt stacked last year. Now, of course, you bring in the rookies and some undrafted guys, but you guys got your first real work, quote unquote, out here. How does it feel for you?
I feel great. And this room it's impressive because these guys, they're coming in and they know what they're doing. And I feel like usually as a rookie class or the new guys, they kind of struggle with that. But these guys are intentional, and it's fun to be a part of. It's real impressive, and it's hats off to them. And I'm excited to work with them throughout the rest of OTAs and through training camp.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jax 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers. And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon-Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome back into today's episode of Club 904. Appreciate the more than 110 of you joining us live here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. If you just joined the party, make sure you like this episode. Make sure you subscribe to the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network wherever you are listening in. In case you missed it, we ran through my notes, my observations from the offensive side of the ball through the first two practices of the Jaguars OTA portion of their offseason program. Now we flip it over to the defense. And at first I thought I saw some slander about Josh Hines-Allen, but no, instead it was positive about 41 and 44 in the comments here live on our YouTube page. Appreciate Duval TV, John, Hef, Daniel, all hanging out with us live. Daniel in particular notes watching the defensive line running drills on day 4 when Josh and Trayvon lined up together, rotating which was end and inside. It looked totally different than any other pairing. I would encourage you to head on over to the Jaguars YouTube page. You could check out Trayvon's comments as well post-practice. I didn't get a chance to catch up with Trayvon, as I was speaking with some other players, which included Josh Hines-Allen, who I may or may not have had to correct. He did not realize that Zach Durfee, who you're going to hear from here in just a second, Prospect X, the Jaguars 7th-round edge rusher, was indeed a draft pick. But I will tell you this, Josh, not trying to, reveal anything from our conversation, but he was mighty excited by the Jaguars' 6'5" edge rusher selection out of the University of Washington, who, again, you will hear from here momentarily on the Action Sports Jax YouTube page. Another note from that edge group, another note from this 2026 draft class, Wesley Williams. Again, it's really tough right now to glean anything along the defensive line, along the trenches, just because no one is in pads. You're just looking, again, what do we always say? Do they look like they belong? How do they look one-on-one in terms of wide receivers, corners, skill players, 7-on-7? So not a whole lot you can glean. But I will tell you that the assembled media at Tuesday's practice, Wesley Williams for the first time was a little bit closer to us. And the 4th rounder out of Duke drew a lot of impressive, or how do we put this? Positive comments from the assembled media who said, oh, yeah, he is a draft pick. I see it. And we've gone down the line. We've explained on this episode. If you didn't catch our episode with Trevor Sikkema, go back and listen to it, because I said, ultimately, the Jaguars' entire 10-person draft class from this past April's haul, you can go line by line. And this is James Gladstone finding someone who was on the 2025 roster and saying, we can get younger and better. And so when it comes to Wesley Williams, this is taking the DeJuan Smoot role, which unfortunately for Smoot, he was asked to kick inside in 2025 much more than he ever had outside of maybe that 2018 when they tried to convert him to an interior defensive lineman. I digress. This is someone who's going to fill that role where he's going to rush off the edge. He could probably kick inside a little bit. Didn't do a ton of it at Duke, but I think he can do a little bit at the next level because he still has room in his frame to put on more muscle. And all of a sudden, you've got a younger version of Smoot in your building. And you can go right on down the line with Albert Regis. He is obviously an improvement over Austin Johnson, can push Matt Dickerson. You can go to Nate Borkercher. You have Johnny Munt exit stage left. Hunter Long is still in the building. We don't know for how long. You add Nate Borkercher, and suddenly Quentin Morris is your tight end 3, as opposed to having to be your tight end 2. And you have a true 12, 13 personnel package coupled with Morris still on the roster and Tanner Koziel. But I digress. Go back, listen to some previous episodes in case you missed it. So point being, good to see Wesley Williams. Good to see he fits the part. Good to see truly. And I know for some of you, this is upsetting. We had a conversation here at HQ at Action Sports Jax yesterday where I know for some of you, including those in this building, you're still questioning the depth at edge. I will tell you this. Danny Strigow had a sack yesterday. Dennis Gardick is a member of the Jaguars defense. Again, we're going to operate within the NFL's reporting guidelines. He's going to go after the quarterback, like you saw in the second half of last season. I don't think I'm breaking any news there. And BJ Green, much like Strigow, his fellow undrafted free agent rookie from a season ago who made the initial 53-man roster, they're rotating in. Like they are seeing team period snaps right now in the offseason program. The plan for them to go from healthy scratches in the first few weeks of their rookie campaigns to then getting a jersey on game day, to then actually putting stats together on the field. And mind you, Strigow was battling injuries, as you all saw with your own 2 eyes throughout the course of the stretch run of the 2025 season. And now they take that next step with DeJuan Smoot and Emmanuel Agba no longer on the roster. This is what good teams do. And it is very clear the Jaguars are going to give those 2 young players ample opportunity to prove themselves. While we're on the subject of the defensive line, I know let me look if anyone's commented today, but I know a bunch of you guys will be. What's going on, Paladin? Thanks for hanging out with us live, Club 904. You've asked about Eric Armstead. It is June 2nd. Not that all post-June 1 cuts have to come on June 1 or June 2. He's not going anywhere. In my estimation, I do not anticipate him or anyone else being a surprise cut this month by the Jaguars, because ultimately, while you may like the Albert Regises, you may like our friend TJ Bowlers, who you heard from a little bit earlier this month on the Action Sports Jax YouTube page from Rookie Minicamp. They may like those young guys, just like last year, if you remember, where they said, hey, we're going to give the young players an opportunity out on the grass and we'll see what they got and we'll go from there. It's the same vibes, and you can't bank on, well, we like these young guys, these unproven, undrafted free agents and third-round rookies, and now we're going to roll into the season with them, when you have someone in Eric Armstead who the first 12 weeks of last year was playing as well as any defensive tackle in the league. He's got one more year on his contract. You're really not saving that much money if you release him. He's going to be here. Von Hamilton, also in the final year of his deal. You've heard from Josh Hines-Allen. You've heard from Anthony Campanelli, Liam Cohen, what he means to this team. Obviously, I don't think he's going anywhere either, barring something unforeseen. And so, yes, I think it's going to be quiet on the transaction front. I know a lot of you were upset on a day in which Myles Garrett was dealt to Les Snead and the Los Angeles Rams, that the Jaguars signed a rotational defensive tackle who's a former 6th-round pick of the Cowboys. But again, it can't always be your Super Bowl, folks. It's just not the reality. The Rams will tell you the same thing, although they're obviously pushing all the chips to the middle of the table for their Super Bowl. Let's talk secondary. Buster Brown, an interception, was the highlight on the defensive side of the ball during team periods on Monday. Eric Murray, Preston Hodge, the undrafted free agent rookie out of Colorado, the nickel corner, he also had a pick last Tuesday in OTA number 1. Some other notes, Jabbar Muhammad was impressed with the second-year former undrafted free agent out of Oregon/Washington. Nickel in position and a smaller framed guy. He's probably not going to play outside. He had 2 pass breakups on Monday, and one of them, he's outstretched on the sideline, goes about 2 feet up in the air, was really impressed by his athletic ability. Jarian Jones had a pass breakup as well during team periods, although Parker Washington would probably tell you that a penalty flag would have been thrown in a game, but I digress. And then Jalen Husky, the 3rd-round pick, the number 100 overall pick in this past April's NFL draft, made a pass breakup on a deflection, I should say, on Carter Bradley in the end zone. That, I mean, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but it was just a great play. And multiple reporters standing along the sideline, we all said, wow, that was a great play. And I don't even know if the Jags social team has released the video because it was going up against the 3rd-string quarterback. But he is pretty much eye level with Carter at the line of scrimmage and just reads him all the way, makes an athletic play, sideline to sideline speed, lays out for it, knocks the ball away. It was easily the best play I've seen in 3 practices of seeing the Maryland safety out on the field and out on the grass. And so it was good to see him make a solid play because much like Koziol last week at that Tuesday practice, OTA number 1, didn't really pop off the page, but he certainly did yesterday with that play. Safeties. You guys will have an opportunity, Jaguar fans, to attend next Wednesday's day 2 of mandatory minicamp. And I know that plenty of you Club 904ers, plenty of you clubbers, scoopers, and friends of the pod are going to be locked in on Caleb Branshaw because he is the ultimate X factor. The Jaguars' 3rd-round pick last year, who essentially took a red shirt after suffering the foot injury in last season's training camp. And so what is he? What does he mean for Antonio Johnson? What is Eric Murray? How does Rayon Lane fit in? Husky still exists. You just spent the number 100 overall pick on him. Liam Cohen said last week, or maybe it was at Rookie Minicamp, where he talked about Antonio Johnson, Jalen Husky, and Caleb Branshaw all having similar body types and all having that body type that you're seeing with the infusion of the Nicky Manwaris, the Kyle Hamiltons, which again is hyperbolic to say, but that's the top end. But these chess piece safeties, Isaiah Simmons was before his time. I digress. But I think that what's cool is that if all 3 of those players are healthy and performing at their peak, I think they're interchangeable. Liam Cohen said that. I don't think I'm breaking news, but I don't want anyone, whether it's next Wednesday's practice or once training camp is open to the public come July, to be reading in too much to these safety rotations. We asked Liam Cohen about it last offseason. They're going to keep rotating guys. That's what the offseason program is for. It's not 1st, 2nd, 3rd team. There's no depth chart right now, but independent of the roster itself and the pecking order, I just think the Jaguars have a really unique opportunity ahead of them. And it's part of why Ventrell Miller is probably going to be, barring, God forbid, he gets injured, he's your off-ball linebacker next to Foye Oluokun. And it's because if Devin Lloyd was not on the field and you had just one off-ball linebacker and Foye on the field, the final Buffalo Bills drive of that playoff game, then why would you be trying to replace a player who wasn't on the field at the most important juncture of your season? Because clearly the position was not that important to you, especially when you have a loaded safety and defensive back room like the Jaguars believe they have. So I think you're going to see a lot of nickel, a lot of dime, but I also think it's not set in stone of this player is a free safety, this person is a slot safety, this person is our Nicky McMorray. I think you got a couple different body types, and they're going to be rotated through. As mentioned, trust Ventrell. Trust James Gladstone. It's going to be all right, folks. It's going to be all right. And again, I had this conversation with young Noah here at Action Sports Jax. So, of course, our aficionado behind the social media YouTube channels. In case you haven't checked out our Instagram, make sure you do. He and Chandler doing Yeoman's work on the TikTok and the Instagram. So make sure you subscribe and like over there. Follow, whatever it's called. And he's still worried about the linebacker situation. And I said, Noah, did you miss my tweet from a couple weeks ago during the draft? I'm going to have to pull it up again for y'all, but I'm going to refrain from doing that just for the sake of time because we do have to hear from Zach Durfee, Prospect X. But go through the history of the Los Angeles Rams, folks. The Los Angeles Rams have not drafted a linebacker higher than pick 103 in Ernest Jones. That's a comp round third in the last 7 seasons. They just don't do it. They found the landman on the scrap heap. They found Roseboom in undrafted free agency, and then the Panthers gave him a bag. Go on down the line. This is just not what they do. And so I think you're going to see more of the same here. And so you want me to make a hot take? Here's your hot take. Ventrell Miller is starting next to Foye Oluokun this upcoming season. I don't know. Personally, I think Foye could play forever. I think he's like Austin Trammell and Tim Jones. He's going to be the last thing left here with the cockroaches. But that's not just because he's my friend either. I just truly believe that he is still playing a high level of NFL football right now. But independent of Foye, Ventrell, contract year. Walks, gets a bag, he nets you a comp pick. Next year, Branson Combs, 3rd year as an undrafted free agent. Maybe it works. You extend him. Maybe it doesn't. You're done with him. Okay. Parker Hughes, 7th round pick this year. He's going to be your Branson Combs this upcoming season. But 2 seasons from now, maybe he's the one starting next to Foye. That's a conveyor belt. That is drafting, signing, developing, because you are not spending tons of money at the linebacker position. You now have money freed up to pay Parker Washington, to pay Brenton Strange, to give Trayvon Walker the extension that you just did, because you have identified positions that do not require the dollars and cents because you consistently hit year after year. And additionally, when it comes to crunch time and the most important junctures of your season, that position is not a game changer. Let's hear from one of the Jaguars' 2026 draft picks. We are going to hear from Zach Durfee himself. One of the most interesting men in the world, began his college career. I won't even say career because he was a NARP. He was a non-athletic regular person at North Dakota State following a senior season of high school ball that never was because he broke his leg. You're going to hear about that journey. You're also going to hear about him walking on at Sioux Falls, eventually heading to the Pacific Northwest to join forces with old friend of Liam Cohen and James Gladstone in Jed Fish, and how it brought him here to Duval, an NFL player. Jay seems like the type of guy. He's very locked. Joined by Jaguars rookie edge rusher Zach Durfee, Prospect X. Have you been getting that often since you arrived here in Duval, sir?
Just like twice from CJ. That's about it.
Okay. About it. CJ seems like the type of guy. He's very locked in on all the storylines, all the fun facts.
He's locked in. He's super locked in.
Yeah. How about you? How would you describe you as you arrive here, rookie minicamp, and now your first OTA?
What do you mean by that? Like,
just like you said, your mindset. Yep.
Super locked in. Just trying to pick nonstop pieces from all the vets and guys older than me. It's just a learning experience, but it's like being in the NFL is really cool. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm being challenged extremely hard, learning new techniques, new defense. Being an NFL player, like it's challenging, but I'm having a lot of fun facing that. So.
I know that's something that Tony Baselli, they've identified as that's part of that Duval DNA, the idea of facing a challenge head on. How have you seen that in your teammates since you've arrived here? Maybe you're on the field and you feel like, wow, these guys are my type of people?
Yeah, everyone's just committed to excellence here. There's no complacency. Even guys who, growing up that you see playing on Sundays, you might think that they're going to kind of show up, they're established. Like, no, those dudes are the hardest workers. And in the meeting rooms, out on the field, in the weight room, like, everyone is go, go, go. And what stuck out to me is just the culture. This is a true, team. And it's a blessing and a joy to be a part of, honestly.
So let's go back to the beginning. Of course, the Prospect X story that Kalen Kaller of ESPN did certainly documents your journey from someone who didn't think you'd be playing college football to here you are now, an NFL player. But for you, when you look at the fact that you are an NFL edge rusher right now, what's the moment that for you, when you look back on your past, you're like, wow, I can't believe that was me X amount of years ago?
Shoot. Really, it had to be just walking on to playing at Sioux Falls. That transition, I was a high school quarterback, so learning how to even play defensive end, edge rusher. I could use a lot of my athleticism from basketball and stuff in the pass rush, but learning the run game, that's a whole different, you have to grow up fast. And that's still a learning thing for me here. I was more of a true outside linebacker at Washington most of the time, and here I'm learning a little bit more the defensive end, run techniques and all that. So, or I think back to North Dakota State when I was just a normal student, sitting in my dorm. I was a bio major. I wanted to be a dentist, and I was just grinding for all my biology and chemistry classes. And I can still remember me studying hard for those COVID online exams. So thinking back to that kid to now is pretty crazy.
Oh, you picked the right reporter to talk to. My mom's a dentist. So, yeah, so shout out to the dentists out there. Now, shout out to the dentist. Shout out to Sioux Falls.
Yep.
But tell us about where you grew up. How did that make you into the player you are today?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southwest Minnesota in the Canby, Dawson area. Both were really small towns, about 1,500 people. It was just a lot of tight-knit community people. A lot of my childhood was just sports, and a lot of my best friends all came from the sports we play in, and that'd be all the family friends that you kind of hang out with. It was just work hard, be a good person, stick to your roots, be a family person. It was really low key, pretty chill. So I'm still like that, but obviously I'm in a bigger city, bigger situation now. But that's kind of how I grew up.
They got Casey's up there, Pizza Ranch. What's the go-to in the Midwest?
Oh, Casey's. Yeah, For me, it was Casey's.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you put taco on a pizza? Is that allowed?
Can you?
Yeah, they do it at Casey's.
They do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had their taco pizza. I was more of a sausage or the breakfast.
Okay.
But any Casey's pizza is, it's phenomenal.
You heard it here first then, folks. Well, let's talk a little bit about Jed Fish.
Mm-hmm.
His connection with Liam James, was that something you knew about from their time together with the Rams?
I knew a little bit from when he would talk in team meetings. Coach Fish did a really good job of tying everything to the NFL and his experiences, telling us who he is, who he's learned from, and all that stuff. I had kind of I kind of knew it, but I kind of forgotten it. I was more familiar with his time with the Rams and stuff like that. So I wasn't too he's got a great connection, but then I learned right after he did.
And of course he had the connection to Jacksonville too. So he was in Jacksonville, but then of course he worked with those guys in LA. And so I was curious throughout the pre-draft process if that was maybe a connection with Brian, and certainly who was also in Los Angeles, Brian Zanders, that then led them to you.
I don't really think so. Yeah. I don't know. It was a crazy pre-draft. It was so much every day, so I couldn't really tell you.
Well, speaking of that, now that we can talk about it. So Bill Belichick was the NFL coach in Prospect X that came up to you at practice?
At UW, yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
That was cool. That was my I had to sit out 2023, did the transfer rule. So that was really my first year. I'm I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play. And we had Steve Belichick come be our DC, which was whoa, he got the Belichick tree coming in on the defensive side, and that was sweet. And I was close with Steve, but his dad coming in, that was, every football player, that's your dream come true to have him come watch he was watched a week of practice and just kind of observed and stuff. But then he pulled me aside one day and just talked to me and walked me through some run techniques and told me some stuff, and he struck me in the hallway or something. It was just cool. It was just a cool experience.
We'll let you go here in a second, Zach, but before we do, evaluate the edge room here in Jacksonville. Who has kind of taken you under their wing? Who has pushed you the most?
Yeah, so the edge room is incredible. You got Josh, you got Trayvon, you got Strigo and BJ, and then all of us young guys. All the older guys have done a great job of coaching us. Like it's not no like, oh, I don't want to take my spot or stuff. It's like helping me nonstop. Josh and Trayvon and Danny and BJ, yeah, all of them honestly have done a great job. Whoever I'm kind of paired with in Indy that day, do a good job. I've had a lot of conversations with, Josh and Trayvon, like outside or in the locker room and stuff. All of them have kind of taken me under, I think taken all of us under, because that's what the culture is here. So it's been incredible. I'm just learning every day.
Awesome. Well, learning every day. What have you learned about Jacksonville so far?
It's hot.
Yeah, I feel like that's a mic drop right there. I don't know if it's like maybe the beach or something. No, it's that it's hot.
It's just hot. It's a lot different than the heat I'm used to, but I'm getting a little used to it. I like having a tan year round. I think I'll appreciate that. My girlfriend loves the sun, but it's hot.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Our thanks again to Zach for joining us. That was after the OTA practice number 1. That was both indoors and outdoors last Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day. We have to take one more quick timeout, but when we return, we'll still have 5 minutes. I see our friend Dan Griffiths, our friend Dan Kay, our friend Paladin, all hanging out with questions in the comments here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. So keep those questions and comments coming. We will answer them on the other side here on today's edition of Club 90.
A pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
No Gus Logue. That would be nice here on today's edition of Club 904. But perhaps he will be joining us next week, our final off-season edition of the program. Before we get on out of here on this June the 2nd, do want to answer your questions live that are coming at us from HQ here at Action Sports Jax headquarters, beginning with our friend Daniel K, who says, Day 4 clips, Ruque looked much better than I thought with his foot and hand work. I am really excited to go back and kind of watch some of that foot and hand work. I want to say foot and mouth. That would have been bad. You know what I mean, Daniel, because I really didn't get a chance to watch a ton of the defensive linemen, just again, for all the reasons I've already outlined, not a ton you can glean. The question, though, that Daniel submits, and this was something that was echoed by Paladin a little bit later in the comments, several of Trevor's passes weren't thrown the same as he would in actual gameplay, soft and slow. If you are getting timing down, shouldn't you throw like it's game day, not talking about today? Paladin adds, did you notice if Trevor has improved his timing on seam routes against Buffalo in particular? He was late on the throws and we missed some big plays. I am hoping big tight end, 6'5" plus can help. Now, to that point, the first point, and then we'll talk about Trevor and his connection with the receivers. No one has pads on. They have shorts and t-shirts on. And yes, we are equally as disappointed as you, Daniel, as reporters there, when certain team periods, the decision is made because Liam Cohen and his staff want to get work done, as they like to say in the NFL and in professional sports, because they are focused on ensuring everyone's in the right position and not going 100% speed. Yes, sometimes the throws are not thrown at game pace. At the same time, Trevor Lawrence stays after practice with, we saw yesterday, Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, and other wide receivers, and they do run routes at game speed. He does operate at game speed, even without defenders coming at him, to work on timing without the pressure in your face. And it's just a decision that's made. I wish I had a better answer for you. Now, to Paladin's point about the seam routes, like I said, in case you missed it, I know, Paladin, you joined us midway through the program, so you missed the offensive portion as we opened up the notebook. He had a great seam, throw up the seam, to Tanner Koziel in practice on Monday. That was really impressive. Kind of speaks, I think, to the ethos of what we can expect from the fifth rounder out of, I almost said Ball State. That's where he obviously started his career, out of Houston. What his role could be, I think you'll see much of the same with Brenton Strange, Nate Borkershire. Obviously, they all have that ability. And again, I just think the middle of the field is an area that Press Taylor certainly neglected in his final season as the offense coordinator and play caller of this offense, of Trevor Lawrence. But you go back to his Clemson tape, and it's something that Denny Thompson and I did way back when I was on First Coast News back in the day, and we did Denny's QB camp. We went back and we were both so shocked at how much the tight end play at Clemson influenced how Trevor Lawrence was able to operate, because there are tons of touchdown throws during his college days up the seam to tight ends. And it was something that I think in this world where we're so fixated on Justin Ross and T. Higgins as his running mates in little old Clemson, South Carolina, we neglected that many of his touchdowns. I think it was, we did the math. It was like 45% of his touchdowns went to tight ends during his college career. So to your point, yes, not neglecting in the middle of the field is huge. I remember there was discourse 3-4 years ago about whether or not Trevor could see the middle of the field. As you saw, once Jacoby Myers was inserted into the offense, it felt like all of a sudden that portion of the field was unlocked. Our friend Dan Griffiths has an announcement coming soon. Ooh, that could be fun. Thank you, Daniel K. Thank you, D. Griffiths, for hopping in with us. Of course, he's always welcome here in Club 904. Let's get to one more from our friend Paladin, who says, we just need Armstead and Walker to stay healthy. Trayvon would have had 12 to 14 sacks if he didn't get hurt. He was on that pace. I couldn't agree more. Much like the conversation surrounding some other players on the Jaguars defense, i.e. Eric Armstead. You can't guarantee anyone's going to stay healthy, but if they do, look at what happened in previous years. That's all we have to go off of is history. And while history doesn't repeat itself, it does often rhyme. And Trayvon Walker, the first Jaguar to have back-to-back double-digit sack seasons in more than 20 years. So, yeah, yes, if he stays healthy, I believe that is certainly an opportunity to be had for the former number 1 overall pick. Although, as his defense coordinator, Anthony Campanelli, has stressed too, Trayvon does so much more than just get sacks. I'm really fascinated to see, knowing, to your point, and someone else made this, but we're all out of time, about the secondary, knowing what a critical role that deep safety role could play in this year's defense. I'm excited to see how that opens up things for Trayvon Walker to not just be doing the dirty work, but to actually get after the quarterback. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here in Club 904. As always, all episodes available on demand wherever you get your Action Sports Jax podcast, and of course at the Action Sports Jax YouTube page. Head on over to that YouTube page. Go listen to those other conversations from Jaguars off-season practices so far. A ton of content for you guys to dive into. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you join us next week. Same time, same